I'm Sean Mann, and I make the Eastern Shoreman World Champion Goose Call. You know, teaching people how to use duck and goose calls is a difficult thing. There are a lot of terms involved that are confusing from one person to another. It's an inexact science, if you will. In this tape, I want to clear up these confusing terms. I'm going to teach you the basics of using the Eastern Shoreman, and after I've taught you the basics, we're going to teach you how to get more from the call, how to get more goose voices from the call. And then finally, we're going to apply the knowledge that you get from this tape to actually calling Canada geese. Now, the tape's set up for all levels of callers, from beginners to advanced callers. And we go through step by step from the very basic parts of using the call onto the advanced. The most important thing that I want you to know is that you need to pace yourself. Take your time, learn the basics, and then we'll build on those basics one by one. The Eastern Shoreman is a very different goose call than any other you've used. It's not a conventional or harangue call, and it's not really a flute call. It's its own call. If you try to operate the call the same way that you would a conventional call, or the way you'd operate a flute call, you're going to be terribly disappointed with the results. Learn to operate this call as this call should be operated, not how you operate the others. I want to give you some examples of how not to use the call, some common mistakes I see. That's blowing it like a conventional call, a honk call. If you're patient and you practice with this call, you're going to be amazed at the voices that you can get from it. When you get your call, it's ready to hunt with. There's no break-in period, and you don't have to baby it. You can't overblow it or blow it too hard. It's not sensitive to moisture or to freezing temperatures. I finish them to look nice, but I make them to hunt with, and this is a hunting call first. As I said, moisture's not even a problem. Let me show you what I mean. Enough with the preliminaries. Let's get down to the basics. Now, the Canada Goose's voice has three parts: a low raspy part, then a high clear part. And in between those two notes is what I call the break point, where it breaks from low to high. Let me show you what I mean, and listen for the break point. Now, I exaggerated the lengths of those notes a little bit just to show you low, breakpoint, and high. First, I want to teach you how to do the low, raspy part of that note. This is the most important part of learning to blow the Eastern Shoreman. It's going to take you the most time to learn, and it's going to take the most practice. Remember, this is the low note. That's all we're after right now. Now let's talk about some mechanics. First, to hold the call, put it between the thumb and forefinger of whichever hand you're most comfortable. Hold the call as near the end as you possibly comfortably can. We'll refer to this hand as the on hand, and at this point your other hand is not involved at all. Keep your other hand out of it. Now, the air that you use comes from within your diaphragm and is pushed up from the diaphragm. It's not blown from the lungs. What I want you to do at this point is whistle like this. That's about the amount of air pressure you need, and that's precisely where the air comes from to start your low note. Remember, I'm not different type of air. Notice my cheeks don't puff out, and I'm not. Okay, now to control that air pressure, you bring the tongue up to the roof of your mouth, and you release the pressure with a T or D sound. So you're bringing the pressure up from your diaphragm and releasing it with T or Don't purse your lips like you did when you whistled. Just push the air. Don't puff your cheeks out, and don't blow like this. When you do this, it should sound exactly as I'm doing.
Keep doing it.
Now put the call to your mouth. Don't purse your lips, and just allow a nice stream of air into the call by just holding it to your mouth comfortably. Put the air into the call, saying, remember not to let your cheeks puff out, and don't let air leak out from the corners of your mouth. If you need to, go to a mirror and see what you're doing to avoid that puffing of your cheeks and to avoid letting air leak from the corners of your mouth. If you're puffing your cheeks out, you're blowing air from your lungs and not pushing it from your diaphragm, as I said. In order to get the right sound, you have to push the air. And here's what I mean. And not. Now, some common mistakes that people make are to underpush or overpush. If you underpush, you don't get the raspiness of the low note. And if you overpush it, you'll go right through the whole note, low, break point, and high. Start out slow with low air pressure and build it up to get that full raspy sound. That's what we're after. When you first find the low note, the proper sound for the low note, it might startle you. You're going to feel some resistance. You may even feel like you jammed the call, but it's the right sound. If you're having trouble finding it, just put the call to your mouth and make the T or D sound while you're pushing until you get that proper raspy low sound. Your goal right now is to find that low note every time you put the call to your mouth. Find the same note and get it consistently like this. Now, if you have to, put the call down for a few days. If you're having trouble with that, you just can't find it. Put the call down, just practice the basic step. Bringing the air up from the diaphragm, releasing it with the T or the D sound. When you have the low note perfected, we can go on. Okay, now I know you have the low note down. So what I want you to do now is take that low note and increase the pressure that you're putting on the reed. And what this is going to do is it's going to accelerate the vibration of the reed. This is going to bring us closer to what I call the break point, where the reed breaks from the low to the high note. It sounds like this. Remember, we're going to accelerate the reed by putting more pressure on it. Now you notice it broke over. As you increase that pressure, you'll hear the vibration of the reed get tighter, you'll feel more pressure back from the reed, and occasionally it'll slip over into the high note or something like the high note on you. Don't try to break it. When you get it up to where it breaks over by itself, just back off a little bit and bring it right up to that point of most resistance, the point just before it would break over. Now, I refer to this as cocking the call. If you bring the reed to that stiffest point, loudest point, the point of fastest vibration, it will break over more naturally into the high note, just as if you're cocking a gun. If you try to push it over prior to that, it's going to go off half-cocked. So now just concentrate on accelerating the reed. I want you to be able to bring the reed to that point every time you put the call to your mouth, just as I did with the low note. Now that you can do that, we're going to take the call and break it into the high note. And the way you do that, bring it up to the break point with the, as I said, accelerate the reed, and now when you get it to the point just before it breaks over just where the break point is, you simply say the word hoot while maintaining that pressure. Now I've said a mouthful. What it is in a nutshell, ta to get you up to the break point. We're going to take it over the break point simply by saying hoot. Just like this. Now that you can bring the low note up and break it over, you're able to do what I call the greeting call. And that's the call that you use to get a flock's attention 400 or 500 yards away. You want to make it loud and clear. It should sound something like this. That's basically your greeting call. You use it, you want to grab their attention at a great distance. Now, basically, you're ready to add some more voices to your flock. Bringing the call up to the break point again and breaking the note over with a quicker, sharper word will give you another goose, another goose's voice. So we've used ta-hoot to get what I call an even honk. You're just a mid-range honk. We'll bring it up to that break point again, and when you get it to the break point, say hit. Do it just as I've shown you now, hit. You're saying the word, bringing the tongue up, and it'll break the note over a little quicker, and because it breaks that reed over quicker, it sounds a little sharper. It's best illustrated if I show you the honk first, the flat honk first, and then what ta-hit sounds like. That's your even honk. I've broken it over using the hit. Now you've got two voices. Again, combine that with your greeting call. You've got two voices to try to get the geese with. Simple. Now let's add another voice. We're going to bring the note up to the break point again, and instead of hitting it with a sharp word like hit, we're going to gently roll it over the break point with the word hud. Ta-hud, ta-hud. Sounds like this. Let's put it together. Ta-hoot, ta-hit, ta-hud. Three different notes. Now, you're starting to make the sounds of a flock now. You got three birds. That's more than a pair, it's a flock. To get from note to note, you're going to do two things. You're going to mix your cadence up. So in other words, you drop your notes in and space them differently. And then to give you a smooth transition from note to note, you slur your words. Ta-hoot, ta-hit, ta-hud. Ta-hoot, ta-hit, ta-hud. Something like this. Now you can mix it up in any cadence you want to and mix those notes anywhere you want. Now those are the three honks that I just showed you. And the way you use them is you try all three honks until you get the attention of the flock. They've turned your way, you start mixing those honks up. And now as the flock's getting, say, 300 yards away, I want to show you how to cluck. You want to mix clucks into your routine. And I want to show you two things actually. How the cluck works and how your hand, your other hand's going to come into the act. How your hands affect the tone and the action of the call. Bring your other hand up and put the small finger up here at the base of the small finger of your on hand. keep the fingers together and wrap that hand around just like this. Now I've brought these fingers down and I've brought that hand up. What we're going to do is cluck. And the way to do that, cluck is just a shorter version of a honk. Shorter front end, shorter back end, if you will. Shorter low note, shorter high note. It's a quicker honk. You put your hand into the act and do a quicker honk. And that's a cluck. The hands give you a fleshier sound, a more natural sound for when you're working the flock close. Now what they also do is they affect the way the call reacts. You bring your hand down like this and bring that cup in, your other hand in as a cupping motion, and it puts more back pressure on this reed system here. Makes the reed break over faster. So when your hands are cupped down like this, the call's going to be faster. It's going to break from low to high faster. Open your hand up and it'll be stiffer to break. So you might find yourself clucking and then open your hand to honk and it'll be stiffer, so you have to push more. Here's what the clucks sound like, and I'll do 3 different clucks just like I did 3 distinct honks. Again, hand, small finger there, and wrap it around. The heels of the thumbs meet together, and you have a nice natural cup there. Now that's just the way to make a cluck. Now let's do 3 different clucks. I've got three distinct clucks there. Honks and clucks together would sound like this. And a little trick to get a feel for this back pressure is to have your hand cupped and just move the 3rd finger away from the call, and you'll notice that it relieves the back pressure here. You'll feel it stiffer, quicker, stiffer, quicker. Okay, that's the honks and the clucks together. The way they fit into your calling routine, you've got the geese attention, they're moving your way, you're doing your 3 different honks, you start to mix a cluck in. Then you mix the other clucks in. As the geese get closer to you and close down from, say, 300 to 200 yards, you move away from the loud honks and move more to some fast clucks with honks mixed in to really sound like an excited flock on the ground or on the water. Now, as the flock works inside that 200 yards, you want to start doing what I call the lay down call. This is another note. We're moving pretty fast now. The lay down call is a crying sound. It starts as a honk and then falls over and cries. It sounds like this. The way it's done, you bring the call up to the break point again, and then as you slide it over, you'll see I let a little bit of air slip into my cheek here, and you slowly slip it over the break point and let it tail off, let the air tail off. So it sounds like ta-hoo, ta-hoo, ta-hoo. Goes like this. Now I'll mix it in with honks and clucks, and you'll see what the lay down call will sound like. Hear the clucks and moving to the lay down segment. This is what you want to do to try to get those geese to land. The final note I want to teach you is the comeback call. The comeback call is similar to the lay down call, only it raises in pitch at the end. You use the comeback call when your partner looks up and scares the geese away just as they were about to land in the decoys. As I said, it raises in pitch at the end and it's a crying, pleading sound. Come back, come back. Take the call to the break point and push it over, hoo, and raise your intensity at the end. Ta-hoo, ta-hoo. Sounds like this. Now you can use it in quick succession or you can space it out. You've got nothing to lose. It's a gamble, but the birds have already been pushed off your decoys, and half the time you can bring those birds right back using that comeback call. As soon as you get them hooked back, you go back to your clucks and your lay down calls immediately, and you'll hook them right up, put them right in the decoys. We've talked about a lot here. The greeting call, the clucks, honks, all the different voices of the flock, the lay down call. It's a lot to digest. It's going to be a lot for you to master. What you have to do is take each step one by one and master it from the basic to the more advanced. The more you practice, and the more you practice each step, the more you'll be able to do. Now let's take all we've learned and put it into practice out in the field. In the calling segment, you may have noticed that I respond to each situation a little bit differently. If birds appear from nowhere and are close to me, I'll begin with clucks or lay-down calls in order to just give the birds confidence. When the birds are farther away, I'll use the greeting call for starters to get their attention and to get them swinging. To land birds, I usually respond to the leader of each group. That's the bird who does most of the talking on the final approaches. Without a doubt, the most effective way to learn how to work different groups of geese is to get out and observe live geese. Listen to the conversations that the birds on the ground have with the birds in the air. Watch each group's response to the others and learn how to communicate effectively with them. I wish you all the best of luck in the field, and if I can be of further assistance to you, don't hesitate to contact me. The Eastern Shoreman World Champion goose calls are made from a variety of domestic and imported hardwoods. Each call comes with a lanyard, instructional audio tape, and a carrying pouch. Orders and inquiries can be made to